Hey guys, Buffing Game back today, bringing our video, and today we're going over Season 4 tactical builds, mainly here designed for the new Fortune's Keep Resurgence map. Been playing this for about a week or so. I just did my review of the map up on the channel here last night. Go ahead and check that out, as well as I'll link the links down below for the Scopes YouTube channel, which is a podcast where Crash Games FPS and myself, I co-host that with him, and we went into a lot of information on this, so you'll see those videos popping up over there as well. I'll leave Crash links down there also for you. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll jump into some tactical builds here. Again, mainly designed for Fortune's Keep. Now, some of these will be repeats, so I'll skip through them really quickly, but I do have some different ones here that I've been using a lot here in Fortune's Keep that I think you should definitely give a try, and I think are very, very effective here on the map. So first off, this one's pretty similar to what I've had in my loadouts, which I think I've shown off a few times already. This is just the best in slot PKM build with the best suppressor, barrel, laser, VLK 3 times, and the snatch grip. So nothing different here. We're using the standard issue for that Xenego PKM. Blueprint looks really good. Again, still probably one of the most effective LMGs from the Modern Warfare LMG category in the game. Next up, I have my close quarters Odin build. So I covered this channel, or I covered this weapon on the channel a little bit ago with an I'll play the meta video. Pretty much the same build here. We're running the mono, the Odin Factory 420mm, which is the short barrel, 5mm laser, PBX hollow, and then our Ranger foregrip. So this is just for that close quarters encounters. Again, pairs really nicely with the PKM, and it still works even more effectively, I would say, here on Fortune's Keep than it did on Rebirth Island, because you have more urban, densely close quarters areas on the map, which this thing comes in handy with. So definitely give this thing a try if you haven't yet. Next up, we're going to run the AN94. So this is, again, I rotate my AN94 builds a little bit here and there. This is kind of the build that I have right now, which is a little bit different than some of you may have. Running the monolithic suppressor, the AN94 factory 438mm barrel, which is the best in slot barrel for the damage at range, bullet velocity, and the recoil control. Then I'm going to swap on the tac laser here. The tac laser on that right-hand side Picatinny. Again, this weapon is really, really good, but I always try and use it a different way with different attachments, just because there's a couple different ways I tend to use it, especially if you're running it with burst, which is what I typically do, is run it in the 2-round hyper burst option. 30-round magazine is pretty effective, and I think the laser works well just to help helps you get your shots on target a little bit more, especially at longer ranges. So aim dot sight speed, aiming stability, and the aim walking steadiness helps with that PEC 15 there. VLK 3 times optic, which is that Russian optic for the Russian weapon, so it works out. And then we have the Commando foregrip. You can definitely swap out the Commando for the Ranger. I think works also equally as well, especially in the 2-round burst option. Both are very effective. For the reticle, we're going to run the T-pose here. Again, this just gives it a clear precision sight picture. And the good thing about this is with the tac laser, it offers a really good sight picture in addition to just this good reticle here. You get the green laser there, which makes you much more accurate, in my opinion, especially at ranges. Get your shots on target very, very effectively. Next up, my CQ AUG build. So again, this build we've shown before. I won't go into it too much. You'll see this a couple times here throughout the video. Monolithic suppressor, 407mm lightweight barrel for the damage at range and the bullet velocity. I'm running the slipper clutch blueprint here to give us that AUG A3 type handguard there. You can see the difference. And then we're running the PBX Hollow 7, 60-round drum with the 5.56x45, and the Commando foregrip. This thing is very, very effective in close range. I really have fallen in love with this gun lately. I've been using it a lot on Rebirth and now Fortune's Keep. And it's very, very effective, like I said, in those medium to close range engagements. Next up, we have a SCAR build here. So this SCAR build I've run in the past previously back on Verdansk, and had a lot of success with this. I've run this build on and off a lot. We're running the compensator here to assist with the recoil control on this instead of a suppressor. Base barrel option for this, we're going to be running the tac laser for that PEC 15 there on the top Picatinny. Going to be running the 4 times flip. Again, I'm running this not so much that the 4 times is going to be my primary use, but I like the dot reticle on the hollow that you get with this, as well as for long range engagements. If I need to mount up or go prone with the bipod grip here, that 4 times flip comes in handy. Otherwise, I'm typically using the standard EOTech holographic 1-time sight there. Going to run that 30-round magazine of the 7.62 by 51mm NATO rounds. We're going to up our capacity from 20 to 30. And then the bipod foregrip here again. Great attachment because what it does is the recoil control and the crouch prone recoil control. So you're getting a huge bonus with this attachment, especially if you're going to go crouch or prone. It's just going to amplify your accuracy that much more. Cons are the movement speed and the aim down sight speed, which we've made up for by not using a barrel option, as well as having the PEC 15 for that laser there on the top of the weapon as well. So this is our Mark 17 or our Scar Heavy standard build. Just a really, really aesthetically pleasing weapon. The Scar is one of my favorite weapons of all time, and very effective again, especially on this map. You can get away with a lot more off-meta weapons than you would even on Rebirth Island. So definitely give this thing a try. Very good weapon. Next up, here's one I don't think anyone's probably seen for a while. That's going to be the M1A. So the M1A, this build I've shown off way back in the day, where we're going to be running, again, this is the EBR, I forgot what it's even called, EBR 14 here in the Modern Warfare. However, this blueprint I have saved as the M1A. So we basically have the monolithic suppressor. We have the best in-slot barrel here for the 22-inch. Going to run the variable zoom optic on this so I can have the 3.5 as well as the 8 times. 20-round mag of that 7.62 by 51 NATO and the Commando foregrip. Now, the cool thing about this particular blueprint is the stock option is default to aesthetically look like it would with the F-Tac lightweight. You can see there it defaults to look just like that without having to even use it. So it's going to give us that Archangel type stock option for the Springfield M1A. So I'm using this blueprint mainly for aesthetic purposes because I get that look without having to use the attachment. But again, a nice weapon, and I haven't used it too much on Fortune's Keep yet, but I have a feeling it'll be pretty effective given the sight lines and things like that. So definitely give this thing a try. And then the reticle here that I like to run is either the One Breath or the Hangman is also really good because it's not a one-shot headshot or anything like that. It does help for moving targets to have a little bit of a wider sight picture on that, just to makes me personally more accurate, especially at moving targets. So definitely give that a try. The M1A with the Scar build. One heck of a pairing here, but it definitely works for some reason. Next up, we have my PKP Petronek build. I won't go into that one. I've just had this one in my loadout for a while. I think I've went over it in a couple of videos by now. Really quick, the LVAW build. So this one, slightly different from what I've had in the past with the Cyclone, TAC Laser, Leopold Hammer, or the Integral Hybrid, 60-round mag, and the Commando foregrip. Again, this is probably... I've been using this a lot on Fortune's Keep, especially if you look at the review video I did yesterday. You'll notice a lot of the gameplay is with this weapon. Very, very, very effective back on Verdansk. Very, very, even more so maybe effective here on Fortune's Keep. So this weapon making a big resurgence here. For me, not that it was ever bad, but it seems to be working a lot better now for whatever reason, just because of the urban environments on this map. Then I'm running the AX50. Nothing special there that we haven't gone over. Next, I'm running my M4. So this is more of a Salient Arms Industry gray build. I know I have it labeled as a salt mod. I just didn't rename it. But we have the mono suppressor, the 14.5-inch tack light barrel here, and we're going to be using the zip tie blueprint for that. So it gives us that Salient Arms Industry gray rifle type handguard. Originally, I call it the LVOAC, which they look very similar. However, it's more along the lines of the gray rifle. Also, quick note here for the suppressor, we're using the blueprint for the stem, the Tide. You can see the difference there. It just gives it a blacker, a darker, I would say, coloring that goes along or pairs better with the handguard itself. Next up, the tack laser is going to run that top PEC 15. Again, we could run like a darker version of this, but I like I'm a big fan of the off colors, so the tan and black. I like pairing those together, so it looks good for me. PBX Hollow 7, skipping out on the other attachments, including the magazine, and going to be running the Ranger foregrip with the blueprint option for the Grand Rapids. So that's going to give us the recoil control and the aiming stability. Again, really nice weapon. You can definitely get away with this with probably solos and duos. If you're going to be running anything above that, I would swap the tack laser for a 50 or even a 60-round magazine on this weapon. So definitely give that a try. Really nice, aesthetically looking M4 build there. And the M4 is still surprisingly effective. Next up, I have my M82 build. So this one's slightly different because this weapon isn't what it used to be when it first came out. They heavily nerfed the rate of fire, which doesn't even make sense. To me, it shoots fast or slower than a bolt action rifle, which just boggles the mind. But regardless, Wrap suppressor here, best in slot suppressor. I'm using the blueprint for the jungle hunter, so you can see the difference there. It just gives us a big fat wrap suppressor, which I think looks awesome. Gonna run the Tiger Team barrel to try and up that fire rate. The combat recon is gonna be your best in slot for velocity, but the distance for engagements on this map probably aren't as long as they would be on a regular BR map like they were on Verdansk when this thing was actually very good, or Caldera. So the Tiger Team barrel we're getting not quite as good bullet velocity as we would with the combat recon, but we're getting that fire rate increase, which if you can land your shots in rapid succession, usually one of the head and one of the upper body, it's going to down them. So especially one of the head, now they did fix that distance, so it is a one-shot headshot within the distance for the max range. So that works out pretty well. Skip out only the attachments. We're going to run the drop shot wrap, and then we're going to run the 7-round speed mag of that 50 BMG. And then the bipod for the underbarrel for the horizontal and vertical recoil control. Again, looks really, really good. Still just a weird weapon. They really, I don't know why they struggle to balance the M82, the 50 cal in a lot of games. This thing should hit like a truck, and the fire rate is a lot slower than it used to be, or it even should be, especially with the amount of damage it does now compared to how it used to be. So I'm not sure what they're doing with balance-wise with this, but still give it a try. I think it's still a fun weapon to play with. Definitely a high skill, but see if it's viable, you're going to need to get more trigger time on it than I have currently with all the nerfs they've given to it. But that's probably the better build I think you can run with a Tiger Team barrel. Next up, we have the Mark 46. So this one is the M249 SAR, the Bruin. Going to run the muzzle for the monolithic suppressor. The XRK Horizon 23-inch barrel for the damage at range and the bullet velocity. You can see it gives us that Mark 46 type handguard on there, which just looks very, very, very aesthetically pleasing. Tac laser, Leopold hammer, and then we're going to run the Commando foregrip. So this thing is very, very effective. We had a really great win last night with Odin and a man named Nobody where I was rocking this thing. It just crushes still. Going to run the Heroic Reticle. It gives us that T-pose for the 3.25, and then the top mount Delta is going to be that circular reticle there, which mimics kind of like a hollow. So it allows me to be accurate in close quarters if I need to be as well. And next up, the same AUG build we went over previously. Very, very effective, and I got a really nice couple kills with this in that win yesterday, which will probably be a separate video in itself at some point. Next up, we have the LAMG. So here on Fortune's Keep, this is a fun one that man and Nobody was kind of using something similar to yesterday, which made me put it back on my loadout. Mono suppressor, going to run the XRK long shot adverse, so that gas is tuned up to the adverse setting. You're going to pump out the rate of fire quite a bit to around 1,000 rounds per minute. Damage at range, bullet velocity, and the rate of fire are going to be going up there. Going to run that PEC 15 on the right-hand side. You can't really see it here, unfortunately. The Elcan optic or the Scout Combat, and then a Commando foregrip. So this thing, again, really fun to use. Really good LMG. Just it's one of those weapons that no one ever uses, which is kind of weird to me. But for that Elcan, we're going to rerun the T-pose again. And when you pair the T-pose with the tac laser, especially with this gun, I don't know what it is. It just makes me personally so much more accurate. So definitely give that a try. That Elcan T-pose reticle with a tac laser on there, the PEC 15, just allows me to be very, very accurate with this weapon and just other weapons in general as well, if you can pair those two together. Next up, shout out to Odin. We have an Uzi build. So this one, going to run the monolithic suppressor. Again, this is a Modern Warfare Uzi, and I'm using the blowback blueprint here to kind of give us a more modernized looking Uzi. The monolithic suppressor gives us that big fat suppressor for this. So the sound suppression, damage at range. We're going to run the 16.5-inch factory carbine barrel, or the carbine barrel, depending on how you want to say it. We have damage at range, bullet velocity, and recoil control on that bad boy. And then we have the 5mm laser for the hipfire accuracy. Jump down to the 50-round mag of the 9x19 Parabellum. So we're going to up our mag count there from 30 up to 50. And then we're going to have the Merc foregrip for hipfire accuracy. So this thing, very, very accurate at hip firing. And again, kind of an underrated weapon. I think on Fortune's Keep, if you're going to get away with using something like this, it's definitely going to be on Fortune's Keep. It just looks really nice as well. So definitely give it a try. Let me know what you guys think with the Uzi. Not something I really used that much back in Verdansk, but this is going to be a map that I think it could be very, very effective. So definitely go ahead and give it a try. Next up, we have the AKM. So this is just my standard typical AKM, AK-103 build, except I'm swapping out for a 75-round drum. Again, this is just mainly for fun. It's fun to use. It works really well, and we got a nice win with this as well last night. Then I have a Chris Vector build here for the ZLR 18 inches deadfall barrel, 5 milliwatt laser, sleight of hand perk instead of a reticle I opted for this time, 40 round mag, and the commando foregrip. Again, really, really good at close quarters. Had a lot of good saves with this thing in close quarters, and the sleight of hand helps me get back in the action quicker, especially running the AKM with that 70 round drum. The reload is just abysmally slow. Next up, here's one I don't think I have ever used in a video, but I will be coming up here soon. The Modern Warfare MG34. So this thing, I've never really used this that much. Haven't covered it in any videos to my knowledge, but we have a G28 compensator on here for the recoil control. Gonna run the best in-slot barrel, that being the Brute for the damage at range and the bullet velocity on there. So it's funny, you don't have any recoil reduction on these barrels. It's weird. You compare it to Vanguard weapons, you'd be getting, you know, like damage times 30, no visual recoil, and I don't even know, space bullets or something ridiculous. So just, it goes to show how grounded the Modern Warfare weapons are compared to the weapons of similar time periods, that being Vanguard. Leopold hammer, gonna run the 70 round drum mag of that 7.92 Mauser, the 8mm, and then the bipod on this one as well. So another thing just to note here that I thought was interesting compared to even Cold War weapons, if you go for a grip, look what they did there. If I put a Merc on that, what did they do? They put an actual rail attachment on the bottom of the handguard to attach the grip instead of just letting it free float there as if it had been glued on, which is, again, attention to detail. Infinity Ward does really well. They have the bipod attachment there that goes into the end of the barrel. It fits in there nicely, that attachment. They did everything right in this game. Attention to detail goes a long way, especially when you result in the broken garbage that we get with Cold War and Vanguard. So this weapon, very, very fun to use, actually. And I use this blueprint, the blowtorch, because it is a more modernized version of the MG34. You can see that we have some Picatinis, more modernized furniture to the upper and lower receiver, things like that. So we'll cover this one more so in future videos as well, because it hits like a truck. Very fast rate of fire. TTK is very, very fast. If you don't want to run the bipod on this for the crouch prone recoil control, I would recommend the commando foregrip. Also works very, very well. So give this one a try if you haven't. It's a lot of fun, and it just rips. I opted for the 75 round belt over the 100 because the 100 round, you're just very, very slow, and then the 50, there's not enough bullets because of the high rate of fire. So definitely give this build a try or something similar. Let me know what you guys are using. Next up, same AUG build, so we won't really go into that again, but you've seen it. But I think the most interesting weapon here on this list is going to be probably the MG34. Let me know what you guys are running as far as tactical builds here for Season 4. Weapons that I should probably use if you want to see on Fortune's Keep, do reviews of. Right now, probably coming up here will be the MG34, will be the next one. I have some nice footage with the SAW that we got some wins with as well. And I'll be rotating in some other weapons. I think the M1A is going to be a good one as well. There's another weapon here for the EBR, which I didn't include on this list, which I'll be covering hopefully in a separate video as well. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Again, links are down below on the channel. Until next time, Buffner Gaming with some tactical Season 4 builds for Fortune's Keep. Buffner Gaming, out.